So recently, as a Thanksgiving picture, Zack Snyder put this picture online. Fans of the Snyderverse noticed an interesting detail in the background of the image, a copy of Absolute Final Crisis, originally released in 2012. This led to one particular comment as a response to the picture that said something like, hashtag the Flash movie is Infinite Crisis. Justice League Part 2 is Final Crisis. Now, besides being a huge leap in logic, it also makes no fucking sense. With the history and timeline of the worlds of DC Universe, we have Man of Steel.
Why did you say that name?
Why did you say that name? Batman vs Superman.
So that's it? What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
So we come some Suicide Squad. Wonder Woman, which I'm not going to make fun of because I liked that one when I saw it in the cinema. Justice League. Aquaman was my favourite artist of all time. Pitbull covering a song that I quite like, Africa. Shazam, which was good. Birds of Prey, which might be my favourite in the series. Wonder Woman 1984. So long. And most recently, The Suicide Squad, which was good. Such a huge scope to bring in Grant Morrison's magnum opus, 2008's Final Crisis. Where to start? Oh, I know, with this video sponsor, over to you, Promotional Me.
Thanks, Normal Me. No promotion today, just asking go listen to Leo. He's good. I recommend Bells of Montreal and Secret Little Garden. I didn't get paid for this, I just like his music. Also watch Labyrinth.
Thanks, Promotional Me. Now, on with the video. Final Crisis was written as the final part in the Retcon Crisis trilogy, consisting of Crisis on Infinite Earths, as seen in the Arrowverse, Infinite Crisis, as seen in the MOBA game, Oh Wait, and Final Crisis. I don't know how to explain that one. 1985's Final Crisis was undergone in order to streamline the DC continuity, removing the original Elseworlds and multiverse, and making Superman the last son of Krypton again, removing characters such as Supergirl, Power Girl, Crypto, Comet the Superhorse, and Beppo the Super Monkey. The issue there was that the writers wanted the characters back, and so Supergirl was reintroduced as a matrix possessing the body of a recently dead Linda Danvers, and Power Girl was reintroduced as an Atlantean, who was brainwashed into thinking that she was a Kryptonian by her dead grandfather, Arian. Full breakdown in Comic Drake video, wherever I put it, if I put it. Crypto just vanished, I think, and Comet got retconned as to having been a person, a human, who tried to force himself onto Supergirl, who something magicked him into a centaur, who then harassed an Amazon who turned him into a horse. Beppo also just vanished, appearing in a Final Crisis tie-in and a Dark Multiverse story in 2019-2020. Writers also just seem to like the idea of having alternate versions of a main continuity for flexes on how good their writing can be. So the concept of hypertime was invented, which allows for a multiverse to exist without it being called a multiverse. This got edited a bit, tweaked a little, in 0 Hour, which simplified the history of the Justice Society, specifically Hawkman, who's a complete mess. I'm not going to get into that too much because I never finished reading it. I gave up because I didn't understand it. This brings us to Jeff Johns' 2005-2006 Infinite Crisis. This improved on the original Crisis in not being dull, depressing multiversal destruction, while bringing back old favourites, like Alexander Luthor of Earth 3, Superboy Prime, who I love entirely because of how much they've done with him. He was a big bad here and there. He was a Yellow Lantern in the Sinestro Corps War, and then it was redeemed in Death Metal. Great. Loved it. And the Earth 2 versions of Superman and Lois Lane. If I remember correctly, they retcon the hands seen at the beginning of the multiverse from being Kroner's to being Alexander Luthor's, restoring the multiverse, which wasn't shown to the reader until the end of 52. Unironically, one of the best series DC has ever done, a weekly series covering a year in the lives of the characters. The main reason the multiverse wasn't noticed as being in existence before then was that all of the universes were exactly the same, until Mr. Mind, yes, that Mr. Mind, from the end of Shazam, after incubating inside of Booster Gold's robotic assistant Skeets over the course of a year, finally mega evolving into this. I hate it so much. 8 parts of the universe's histories, creating the multiverse again. I hate Mr. Mind so much because of this appearance. I'd probably quite like him quite a bit. But this was horrifying at the age of 13 or 14. I know there's been a lot in a video meant to be talking about Zack Snyder's making of Final Crisis movie, but it'll hopefully make sense in a bit. Finally comes Final Crisis, but first, the series Countdown, which worked as a prelude to it, building up to the event over 52 issues. Countdown followed Jimmy Olsen, Karate Kid, Trickster, Pied Piper, Darkseid, Donna Troy, Mary Marvel, Jason Todd, Harley Quinn, Holly Robinson, Kyle Rayner, Ray Parker, Triplicate Girl reduced down to just Una, and others. I know it's a lot, but... So they're separated into 4 subplots. Donna Troy, Jason Todd, Kyle Rayner, and a monitor named Bob, forming the challenges of the unknown and trying to find Ray Palmer, who was here hiding within the multiverse. They'd been told by the monitor, still named Bob, that he would be key to surviving the crisis at that time. Holly Robinson and Harley Quinn. You probably know who Harley Quinn is. Holly Robinson was the second Catwoman. They both joined a sect of Amazons led by Cersei from the Odyssey. They didn't know that Cersei was in control. They knew she was a villain. They didn't know she was in control. Mary Marvel had a storyline where she was trying to regain her powers after the Spectre destroyed the Rock of Eternity in Infinite Crisis. Jimmy Olsen accidentally gaining powers. Karate Kid and Una trying to find a cure for a future virus within Karate Kid. First on the main Earth and then in the multiverse. And Trickster and Pied Piper, who are trying to keep themselves from being sent to Salvation, as seen in the series Salvation Run, and whose story was the most interesting to 16-year-old me. Now, I know that was a lot, but it's intentional. This brings up to Grant Morrison's Final Crisis, which brings back Barry Allen after 26 years? Probably like 30. After him dying in Crisis on Infinite Earths. It also takes the main trinity of DC characters and sidelines them. Batman gets killed, sent to the beginning of time in order to build up chaos energy in Darkseid's ultimate plan. Superman gets left to one side after Clayface blows up the Daily Planet in order to put Lois Lane in hospital, where she's only kept alive by Superman massaging her heart with his laser vision. I don't know. Go ask Grant. And Wonder Woman gets corrupted by a possessed Mary Marvel. Darkseid, after building up our power as a nightclub owner named Boss Darkseid, and releasing the anti-life equation onto the internet, which got shut down by Oracle in order to stop everyone being possessed and used as a vessel for Darkseid, took over everyone. He possessed the body of Dan Taupin, a detective from the 60s Superman comics, who then... I don't know, it wasn't the last time that they put the anti-life equation onto the internet to try and take over everyone. They also did that in Deceased, which was good. It also has a time skip, which made sense in context, as Wally West and Bart Allen trying to find a bullet which was shot backwards in time, and everything going wrong. Like Martian Manhunter got killed by Libra. No one knows who Libra is. It's just too offensive for this. And the multiverse was collapsing on itself because Orion, not the same dude as Arion, Darkseid's son, who grew up on New Genesis, kind of killed Darkseid, and he fell onto the multiverse. And the heroes who are going to save the day are Tattooed Man, who's a villain, Black Canary, who's really well established as a DC character and Belly and stuff, because I guess people don't know how to do their power sets. The second Mr. Miracle, Shiloh Norman, I believe, and the Super Young Team, who are a Japanese team who really don't do that much in the story. They're used as transport. They teach Checkmate. The second Mr. Miracle, Shiloh Norman and the Super Young Team teach Checkmate, who are kind of like S.H.I.E.L.D. but more corrupt, how to escape being brainwashed by the anti-life equation. They do that by drawing the New Genesis symbol for freedom on their face. At this point, you're probably assuming that the answer to save the world is going to be Superman's just going to punch Darkseid and win, and that'll be it. So I don't know if you believe me that the final way to defeat the big bad is by Superman singing and the Green Lanterns showing up to stake a multiversal vampire. And the main hero that we should be going for is a monitor named Nyx Uaton. Long explanation? Bit too long? I cut so much chaotic shit, like the whole Renee Montoya question subplot with them trying to find another world they can go to find help, and all of the Superman variants in the multiverse, and the Rubik's Cubes that I didn't understand why they put it in, and Nazi Supergirl dying, and a lot. I wonder what they were smoking to write this. And that isn't even mentioning Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew. That explanation of Countdown and Final Crisis, which took up like 650 words, was all to ask you this. How long did this take to build up? How much comic history was included in this story? The answer is almost everything. 70 years of comic history was included and built on for this story. Now, the main point, to compare and contrast, the DCEU has the Justice League, 2 Suicide Squads, Will Smith and Idris Elba, Shazam, and the Birds of Prey, kind of, and a whole 8 years of history. DC Comics as a whole had 70 years of stories and characters behind them. They also, unlike Marvel, kept all of the film rights to their characters in-house, so it should be easy to slam dunk films out. People like the characters, otherwise they wouldn't keep making comics of them. As a fun exercise, I've compiled a list of my favourite DC characters who haven't made it to the big screen within their current series. Phantom Stranger, Space Cabbie, Jessica Cruz, Tim Drake, Bunker, Dr. Fate, hell yeah, Pierce Brosnan, love that guy, Kyle Rayner, Red Tornado, Captain Cold, and Saint Walker. Compare that list to my same one for Marvel. D-Man. Love D-Man. You can tell I love D-Man because it's the only Marvel character that I got their trading card. Only trading card I've got. DC needs to not be afraid of including the stupid shit from back in the day. But also, my advice is to not make live action stuff the main output. Justice League's Arc Apocalypse War was so much better than the Snyder Cut. No comment. You can allow the directors and the writers to have fun and use weird characters. Space Cabbie is my main. Just kind of want to see a series of him driving alien characters around and having a chat. You can make it like a talk show parody. I don't care. You gave James Gunn Polka Dot Man, Starro the Conqueror, Ratcatcher 2, who was great, Mongol, and Weasel. And they had most of them interesting characters. And then there's Jimmy Olsen, who got shot and not named weirdly, and the piss jar, and Martha, and all that stuff. DC, your films can be light, they can be silly, they can be out of left field. People criticise Marvel for always having their heroes fight villains with the same power set. Man of Steel, Wonder Woman 1984, not Justice League, Batman vs Superman, and Shazam. All of those films had villains which had the same power set as the heroes. You did well with Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad because both of those were just either. In fact, let me shuffle the villains for the films, with also potentially being a bit lighter in tone. Men of Steel had Zod. No. Keep him for the sequel, or a different one. Start off with maybe Livewire, an electric-themed supervillainess. I think she was in Supergirl, I don't know. I don't want to say copy Amazing Spider-Man, Electro, but the storyline from Superman Grounded with her, where she's out of control, and he goes and gets his like Superman blue costume, which was from like the 90s when he had electric powers, and he puts it on her and she just goes, wow, thank you, Superman, but I don't like this symbol, and she just changes it into a lightning L, and it was great. Batman vs Superman had Doomsday and Lex Luthor. Cut Doomsday. Get rid of Doomsday. Not yet. In your second film, you're doing Death of Superman. Death of Superman was built up in the comics for 60 years. Slightly less than 60 years, probably more like 55. You went there in 2 films. What the fuck are you doing? Cut Doomsday and put the original casting back in, as I heard in a Fact Fiend video. Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor and Jesse Eisenberg as Jimmy Olsen. He'll probably be quite a good Jimmy Olsen. It's just not a Lex Luthor. Suicide Squad had Enchantress, I think, and Joker first. Ew. Look at him. I don't actually know the Suicide Squad that well, so I'm just going to take a storyline from a different series. The villain is now John Doe, or Dr. Destiny. Do the Dr. Destiny arc from The Sandman. Just that. That was a good series. That was a good storyline. Wonder Woman's good, but I'd say remove Ares. Just make her Dr. Poison. That works. Justice League went forward. A, too fast, and B, too strong a villain. Leave Darkseid until later. Use Despero or Lobo. If you want to build towards Darkseid, use Lobo. It's like he's paying him. if you want to show a film with them being brought together and working and building together, use Despero. No one knows who Despero is. It's like a three-eyed alien with psychic powers. Aquaman, which I also liked. Remove Ocean Man. Have a look at a moral fight between Black Manta and Aquaman about the ocean. It'd probably be quite interesting. Shazam had Savannah with the powers of Shazam and the Seven Deadly Sins and Mr. Mind at the end. I've already said how much I don't like the character, so it shouldn't come as any surprise. Get rid of Mr. Mind. Leave him for later. I know that it was building up for a sequel, but still. Just have Savannah as a mad scientist with a machine that's threatening the world, or Shazam is just existing, and Savannah's being paid by a government as a world-renowned scientist to find out why a huge EMP had turned off the west coast of the United... Oh wait, that's Sonic. Make Sonic. You could make Sonic, I don't mind. Birds of Prey can be left alone. Ewan McGregor was great. Wonder Woman 1984. I'm imagining a monkey's paw scenario. A woman who's always looked down at asked Dreamstone Maxwell Lord to have people look up to her, and she becomes Giganta. I just kind of like the idea of Gal Gadot just having to fight a giant woman. It'd be like King Kong, but not. I mean, I think the original Giganta was a direct reference to King Kong because she was originally an albino gorilla who got turned into a human woman by a mad scientist and became huge. I don't know. Suicide Squad works it is. The Flash movie looks like it's going to be a Flashpoint movie, given that it says that the wiki description at least says it looks like it's going to be he goes back in time to try and rescue his mother. Looks like it's going to be a Flashpoint movie. The Batman has Riddler as the main villain, which is a good choice. Black Adam, no idea who the villains are going to be. I think Aquaman 2 is going to have Black Manta. I don't have any more films. I hate writing conclusions for things, so I'm just going to end here.